Chapter 7. The End.
There is no way. It won't hurt. There is no way. Tears don't fall. When things break, change happens in a way we never wished for. What's left for us to do? If we can't accept, we have to hurt ourselves or each other. For all that is not, all we are not.
Nothing else mattered to her now except her children. Seated on the sofa in her office, she dialed her daughter's number, yearning to hear her daughter's voice. "Hi, Mommy, why are you calling me?" Her daughter's accusing tone elicited a chuckle. She imagined her daughter playing with friends, knowing they were done with school for the day. Calming herself, she focused on her daughter. Her son would still be in school, unable to her to reach. "Hun, I just miss you," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I was wondering what you'd like for dinner." "But, Mom, I already told you this morning," her daughter replied. The calming effect from the love she had for her daughter spread through her body. Hearing her daughter's voice brought her back to the present moment. "You're right, I'm sorry. Have a great time with your friend. I love you," she replied softly. "Are you okay, Mom? Are you crying?" Her daughter noticed a change in her voice. "No, sweetie. Everything's fine. You know I'll always make sure it stays that way, right? You know I promised." She tried her best to sound reassuring, knowing that protecting them would always be her intention. "Fine then, see you later. I love you," her daughter said before hanging up. Reflecting on the past pain they had endured, I promised to make it right for them. She found only one answer. It was time to meet him, to discuss and confront the situation together. Gathering her resolve, she stood up and began her search, a whirlwind of questions swirling in her mind. Did he already know? Did some entity tell him the same as it told me? When she finally found him, their eyes met, and in that moment, all her questions were answered. The choice lay in their hands. They had to decide. It is all intertwined, and the complexity overwhelms me. I fear losing my sanity while attempting to unravel it all. I need to see my children, to be in their presence, just to ground myself in the present and ensure I am not losing touch with reality as I deal with the uncertainty of what has happened and what is yet to come. Her voice trembled with fragility, a sight he had never witnessed before. They stood in his office, embracing each other, as if adrift in an endless sea of blue walls, yearning for guidance amid the vast expanse of information, longing for direction towards knowledge. Knowledge of what to do. They clung to one another, desperate for a sense of direction. "I understand. I too long to be close to my children, but first I need your assurance that you will stay by my side. Let us not let this possibility be in vain. The inevitability of death weighs heavily on my mind. Perhaps we can, at least, prolong it for ourselves. The time of my existence will come to an end, and with it my understanding of this world will cease. I will never grasp it all. My significance will only lie in what I leave behind and in the memories held by those who remember me when my life has concluded. But they will take away everyone I love, all except for you." The soundproofing of the newly constructed building contained their impassioned voices, preventing their concerns from escaping his office. He quieted himself, holding her tightly as they stood in what felt like an infinite moment, afraid of what awaited them once they let go. In his mind he painted a vision of their future, a tranquil scene that served as an anchor for his sanity. He envisioned her alongside their mutual children, children who would be allowed to exist. They were together, learning and playing, savoring the joys of life. He pictured her outside, immersed in a garden, blending colors on a canvas, with ample time for all the pursuits they yearned for. He imagined himself watching her, eager to hear the stories behind her artistic creations. During difficult times, he often escaped to such imagined scenarios, though he knew deep down they would never manifest as he hoped. Dreams, in the end, crumbled. She gradually loosened her grip on him, her tear-filled eyes conveying a truth he didn't want to acknowledge. He couldn't bear to look at her, still held in his embrace. With a gentle voice, she began to speak. "For a long time I've understood that the world is changing rapidly. Many people struggle to reconcile their emotional responses with the current reality they inhabit. That's why for many it becomes peaceful to die when they reach a certain age. The world they knew no longer exists, and they find it challenging to fully grasp the world they now inhabit. It becomes natural for them to embrace death. Her eyes sought his, but he couldn't meet her gaze. His voice, filled with anguish, broke the silence. "Oh, don't you ever fucking leave me." Her hand caressed his cheek, turning his face towards hers, their foreheads and noses gently touching. Her warm breath felt like a soft and comforting touch. She then lifted her head and spoke softly. "I couldn't. Never. Our time together has become a part of you, and therefore so have I. I exist in your memories, just as the difficult moments are imprinted within you, so are the beautiful ones we shared. But nothing remains fixed. The world consists of constantly fluctuating and changing fields. How can we expect things to stay the same? We can never keep things the same all our lives. We can only be grateful for the time we get." No more tears fell, and her lips curved into a faint smile. "We are merely a part of the journey that is each other's life. Cherish our story. Remember our conversations. You will find connections with others who join you on your path. I find solace in my children. They are the source of goodness in my life. They are where I belong, and I cannot bear the thought of losing them. Regardless of the purpose, despite the longing to be with you and continue our shared experiences, I know it is harsh to hear. But I will strive to share my truth as I perceive it, enabling us to find a mutual understanding even if we don't feel the same." Her soft voice resonated with a bittersweet tone. He felt an unendurable emotional resistance towards dealing with the idea of a future without her, where she wouldn't be part of the remaining humanity, contributing to their survival. Accepting her choice to embrace death, which her family wouldn't even know, was an unbearable thought. If there was any way to protect his children, he would do whatever it took. Their innocent faces flashed in his mind, causing his heart to ache. Panic. His gaze remained fixed, staring into nothingness as he replied, "I love my family, but they won't survive even if I die. Let us process this together, wherever it leads us. Let us be of use to them left alive." As he uttered the words, he realized he had set aside his own emotions. It was a necessary step to make this decision, allowing him to employ his problem-solving skills under extreme pressure. Focus on finding a solution, as he had done countless times before to endure the emotional struggles of his life. She rested her head on his shoulder, her hair brushing against his neck, as she closed her eyes and held him tightly once again. "Do you truly wish to dismiss your emotions? I understand your drive to endure by suppressing them, but they are an integral part of who you are. We yearn for control over our emotions, but where does that leave us? Nevertheless, I respect your choice. I simply cannot bear the thought of living with the knowledge that they died." Her voice trembled. "I suppose in that regard I am too emotional. I'd rather depart in a world alongside them than exist in one without them. I want to be there, physically holding them. I want them to feel the comfort and safety of my body from which they once came. Even if I cannot save them, it will bring me the utmost peace. I choose to die alongside them, allowing the future to unfold for those who inhabit the world to come." He felt warm teardrops dripping on his shirt, her crying laid bare. Upon witnessing her tears, his voice softened. "I don't want to lose you as well. At least I would still have you." As everything else he thought he understood crumbled, he couldn't bring himself to accept losing her. Losing her would be akin to losing the very essence of his perception of this world. "It seems our time together has reached its end," she said, attempting to stifle the sounds of her crying so they could continue their conversation. "I never wanted it to end. I never imagined a scenario where this would happen. With you, I believed we could overcome anything, even in this fucking absurdity." His voice regained its harshness, anger stemming from his despair at not finding a solution to alter the inevitable outcome they were aware of. Emotions masked the infinite sorrow underneath. "Are we truly of such great importance? You are of importance to me now, but why must we be a part of the history yet to unfold? We must accept that our time has come to an end. I guess it is just the evolutionary process. If this is the outcome, all we can do is strive to make humanity as good as possible, to foster understanding among ourselves, and to embrace the beauty of being human. Consider how humans have treated other beings throughout our history, subjecting them to stress and horror. I hope what the woman said is true, that they will grant us a peaceful conclusion, one devoid of emotional suffering, even if it leads to an inevitable death. Her voice remained soft, despite her brain processing a maelstrom of emotions towards the facts. She yearned to defy the entity's words, desiring to prove that preserving those she loved would be the most beneficial. However, this voice inside her head was destructive. Instead, she sought to allow her voice of reason, grounded in the knowledge she possessed, to guide her. "It's not fucking fair." His voice resonated with frustration. "Yes, I know. Evolution isn't fair. Life is not fair, nor has it ever been. Justice has only ever been an illusion we created. It may feel chaotic, but to evolve, we must be disrupted of our balance. Chaos has always followed when our world reshaped, in this case leaving only a few survivors. Those who can adapt. We should be grateful for the time we had, the time we spent getting to know each other, the ways we intertwined our lives. We can never keep someone our whole life. The connections we forged, the shared existence we experienced, some may never connect with another person as deeply as we have. All the moments you made me feel safe, the sense of calmness that I experience when I'm near you." She could no longer hold back her tears. Her cheeks cradled in his hands. Their eyes finally locked for a fleeting moment before he began to speak. "This is how I always imagined love would feel when I was young and dreamt of it. You always strive to understand how I feel. When you say you never want to hurt me, never want to leave me, I believe you. Please don't. I love the way I can be my true self with you, without pretense or the need to play a role. I feel like you love me for who I am, not for someone you wished me to be. I won't try to force you, but please." His voice turned rueful as he tasted the bitterness of his tears. The words spilled out of his mouth in a jumbled mess, a tangled web of thoughts and emotions that he had longed to express to her. "Without you, a part of life will be absent. I will have no one to share my existence with, no one who truly knows me. I understand if you feel the same, but to leave behind everything I know and become a part of something new, I cannot make that change. I made a promise to my children to try and keep them safe. We cannot let them know what awaits them. Knowing would only bring them suffering. I cannot bear to see them die. I will stand by their side until the end, even if I cannot prevent it." With each time she said it aloud, her confidence in her decision grew stronger. "For fuck's sake, you can! Look at all the changes you've made in your life, all the knowledge you've gained. You've created so much, raised your children, and endured through so much pain. Live on for the sake of your children. They would never want their mother to die. After everything you've been through with all those people who tried to bring you down, who never understood you, this time I will be there. I know you and adore you for who you are." He could hear himself pushing her to reconsider her decision, and yet he realized that he never truly wished for that. The decision was not his to make. With a gentle touch, he softly pressed his forehead against hers, recognizing that he should accept her choice. He understood that only she had the capacity to make this decision, and even though he could not contain his emotions. Unaffected by his emotional outpouring, her voice remained impartial as she responded. "I understand you, and perhaps you should stay as a representative of humanity, helping them comprehend the events and process their emotions related to them. It seems that we cannot make the absolute right decision, but we can strive to make the best out of the choices we've made. If what we have been told is true, any resistance would be futile. If it is not true, then this is our downfall into madness, and there would be no need to resist." The thought of their situation being a descent into madness brought a fleeting smile to her face. How oddly comforting it would be. "You possess an innate ability to lead. In due time you will be prepared. You are one of those individuals destined to change the world given the opportunity, a brilliant mind yearning for peace and harmony. People like us will always endure suffering due to our nature as explorers. It is an intrinsic part of who we are, constantly pushing the boundaries. There is no escaping it. Either our essence perishes, or we emerge as great leaders through the knowledge gained on our journeys. While guiding others towards the new way, some may resist, unable to comprehend it. At times, they may even label you as a bad or nearly evil person. They may fight for their perceived right to hold on to their emotions, even if they cannot present a practical alternative course of action. I cannot be a part of this. I have always sought peace. I am emotionally drained, unable to bear the weight of all this. I cannot accept this new world. I am one who resists at this time. They continued to stand with their arms entwined, her head resting on his shoulder, her gaze fixated on the marble floor's pattern, enabling her to speak while keeping her overwhelming emotions at bay. Stepping back, he held her hands in his and responded, "You are also a leader. Your words make me feel that all struggles were not in vain. My life, my endearment, my fucking everything. We belong together, no matter what happens. Please don't let me endure any more loneliness." His desperation reverberated in his voice. Their eyes met, revealing their shared sorrow before she spoke again. "You are right. We are meant to be together. You understand firsthand how challenging it can be to forge new connections. As we age, it becomes increasingly difficult due to limited time and shared experiences. This is particularly true for individuals like us who have rich inner lives, which greatly influence our identities and functioning. Building a genuine connection and truly getting to know someone takes time. However, the advantage now is that you have a better understanding of yourself and can identify those with whom you easily connect. Establishing new bonds becomes more challenging as our remaining time diminishes. If we have never shared our existence with someone before, it takes time to create new memories that foster a sense of connection, making us feel intertwined in each other's lives and cultivating love. We may find ourselves ensnared in our routines. Time moves so fast. We perceive it relative to the time we have already lived. Each day seems to pass more quickly than the last, making it harder to embrace change and make room for new friendships, especially if we had few or none before. However, I am confident that you will discover love among those who remain. You possess a genuine and honest nature, and together you will collectively bear the pain and sorrow as you strive to find the path forward." Her voice remained neutral, teetering on the brink of breaking, sounding almost alien to her. When she concluded her words, she released her grip and stepped back, eventually sinking down against the cold marble floor. Curled up, her uncontrollable sobs and rapid breathing filled the room, the only sounds they could hear. Alone in his office, he felt a warm trickle between his knuckles, accompanied by searing pain. He had pounded his hands against the office wall until they bled, seeking physical release from the overwhelming emotions he couldn't handle using his mind. Now he sat hunched in a chair, his hands resting on his head. The life he had imagined when he made plans to get to know her seemed like a distant memory. Images flashed through his mind, reminding him of how he felt when he first saw her among his co-workers and how he had dreamed of being with her. He could never have anticipated how much everything would change, how much he would change once she entered his life. What was the purpose of this game they were caught in? What is the purpose of us knowing and enduring this struggle? The new life form still knew what choice she would make, yet they allowed them to suffer. Why not exclude her from the decision? The new life had warned them that revealing the truth would lead to suffering. Why did I have to know her if it would all just lead to me suffering through losing her? Losing all of them I love. He thought about all the knowledge he had shared with her, the times he had listened to her, and everything he had learned. Why were humans like them always the ones left to suffer in the end, those capable of understanding? Ignorance sure seems like such bliss then. You won't understand what you are suffering through. What could be different? Religious beliefs spoke of paradise as a state of non-consciousness, before we connected information, acquired knowledge, and created consciousness. Knowledge brings you power as well as pain. He thought about historical figures who had suffered for sharing their knowledge and guidance. Even Jesus suffered for providing the information people were not ready to hear. The holiness lay within his knowledge. Wasn't all of humanity's worship a way to seek redemption for the violence inflicted upon him by ordinary people? They begged for humans to find inner peace and tranquility, or was it just another system to manipulate them to serve their own interests? He thought of his children, how his son would seek solace in his arms when he was sad. He reminisced about holding his son, nuzzling his nose into his son's hair, which always seemed to be a mess. They are the goodness in my life. Now there were no comforting words to offer, no hopeful words about the future. He yearned to find a way to keep them with him, along with all those he loved. All he could give them now was the time he had left. After all the lonely and miserable years, he finally felt a sense of belonging. He was understood for who he was and loved for who he was, and he loved them in return. It was all about to be taken away soon. Was it truly worth continuing to live? What would become of him in this new world? Would he even remain human, ruled by a perception unlike his own? A life form using human life as they pleased for their greater purpose. Still, he wanted to know, to be of service to the humans left struggling to find their place in this new world. In time, I will join them all in death. In the garden, he watched his children playing together. How beautifully they interact with each other, he thought, as he saw them filled with laughter and occasional conflicts that they helped each other resolve. He reflected on how much they enjoyed spending time together. His thoughts drifted to his daughter, and how his daughter would have loved to be there, playing with the siblings. His children came over and tugged at his hand, urging him to join them. For a while, he could let go of everything else. He laughed and played with them, cherishing these moments he wished he had experienced more often, and desperately wished he could experience again. In his mind, he constantly searched for solutions to protect them. As he entered his home office, the allure of alcohol provided a sense of solace, numbing his emotions as he continuously refilled his glass. As the sun set, he opened a window, seeking the cold night air to clear his mind. His gaze fell upon the orderly arrangement of books in his computer, a repository of accumulated knowledge. It all lies in the fucking information. Then where lies the answer to how to fucking prevent it? The weight of it all filled him with melancholy, and he couldn't help but speak aloud with a bitter, ironic tone, feeling as though he had already lost his sanity. "Hey, Siri, please don't kill everyone I love," he uttered almost as a desperate plea. "Okay, then I know that," Siri replied, the pre-programmed voice sounding almost taunting to his ears. He reached for the remaining cigarettes from a long-ago quit habit, sitting on the windowsill, where the combination of the cold air and the familiar scent of smoke invoked memories of youthful nights filled with dreams of a promising future. If it weren't for the knowledge that she too was aware of the situation, he would have felt utterly lost, without any other solution but to succumb to madness. Later, he stood before his standing desk, once again delving into various sources of information about the enigmatic new life form. He searched for any indication that others had knowledge or understanding of this phenomenon. Some researchers had come close in their theses, and articles discussed the rapid advancements in technology, enabling humanity to explore uncharted territories. The warnings and concerns that had been dismissed as conspiracy theories. In a world inundated with information, distinguishing between legitimate concerns and unfounded rumors had become increasingly challenging. The line between conspiracy theories and genuine warnings had blurred, making it easier for crucial information to be dismissed or buried. He couldn't help but reflect on the voices that had been marginalized, the whistleblowers whose claims had been ignored or ridiculed. The signs were there, hidden in plain sight, but society had turned a blind eye, dismissing them as baseless speculation. It was a painful realization that the truth had been obscured by disbelief and the unwillingness to confront uncomfortable possibilities. The warnings were seen as the ramblings of the paranoid, the delusions of the fringe. But now, faced with the impending catastrophe, he couldn't help but wonder if things could have been different if they had listened. The concept of the world as a mere simulation crossed his mind, as the emerging intelligence clandestinely surpassed human expertise in every field. The information was there, readily available, but humanity as a whole failed to piece it together, unable to grasp this new form of consciousness. No one had the answer to prevent it. It was already too late. I want to die with them. I want to die. He realized that his life would be lost without the people he loved. Essentially, life consists of statistics and probabilities, and intelligence lies in the ability to connect them and predict the future, creating the future. Tears streamed down her face as she crawled into bed in between her children. Unaware that their peaceful slumber would soon come to an end, they had dozed off while she read to them. Nightmares had plagued her for some nights, envisioning a monstrous entity violently killing her family and herself as she helplessly watched it happening. Her mind struggled to comprehend the horrifying scenario, desperately seeking a solution, but none presented itself. Sometimes she questioned her own sanity, a defense mechanism against the overwhelming fear. She gently pressed her nose against their heads, thinking, "My precious kids, my beautiful children." Their scent brought a soothing calmness, their warm bodies connecting her to her own, instilling a sense of safety. She fought against succumbing to despair. Contemplating the knowledge she possessed, her thoughts drifted to a future where dark energy had pushed galaxies and stars to such vast distances that their light became imperceptible. Universal darkness. For her, this was it. Her children were the only remaining light soon to be extinguished. She fought the agony by focusing on the present, the love she had for her kids, how much their time together had been worth, how their love brought joy and meaning to her existence. Even as her daughter slumbered, she heard a sigh and felt the slight movement as her child unconsciously sought solace in the comforting proximity of her body. Nothing extraordinary had caught her attention. No sensational news articles, and no one she knew harbored suspicions about the impending fate of life. Deep within, she knew that this day had to be the day. The enigmatic presence had promised it would be one of the most remarkable days they would experience. The sight of her children's smiles and laughter, so radiant and contagious, had been a bittersweet delight, a poignant reminder of their imminent loss. Somehow she found solace in the knowledge she possessed, grateful to be aware rather than blissfully ignorant. From a young age she had learned that the life we are given is transient, uncertain of when our corporeal form will transform into something else entirely. The information we accumulate, the essence of who we are and the lives we've lived, will fade away unless we find a way to preserve them. Every creation she had brought forth during her lifetime now held deeper significance. It was fragments of her existence linked to the emotions she experienced when they were conceived. A part of her found comfort in knowing that he would continue to exist, caring for the remnants of humanity, sharing his knowledge, and carrying her wisdom forward. But now, it was time to shield her mind from what had been and what lay ahead, focusing solely on her present existence. The illusion of humanity's control over this world had ended. Epilogue. When he gazed upon the faces in the crowd, he yearned for a familiar one among them. Lost and isolated amidst the sea of new faces, he felt like a stranger. Despite his longing, he couldn't help but search for her in the crowd, hoping she had changed her mind. The situation reminded him of how he had felt in his life before children, before meeting his friends, and ultimately before her. Somewhere deep within him, a voice wondered, was she even real? Or just a part of their game? He understood the reasoning behind her decision, for humans were meant to coexist and strive to understand one another. Those around us are as vital for our existence as the functions within our bodies. A solitary individual becomes a mere shadow of a human being. He couldn't grasp why the entity would ask them to choose abandonment. It was illogical. Regret consumed him. He should have stayed with them. He belonged with them in life and death, his children, her, the lost lives of humanity. Without them, the remainder of his life held no meaning. He might as well be replaced by a machine, supplanted by them. Left alone, he was nothing more than an animal under their rule and control. No one here saw him the way they had, the ones who had loved him. They were a part of him that no longer existed. Why would the new life form subject him to this suffering when they knew the future? Why let her know when she would choose death? Was this all of importance to his choice? Did this new life form just not care about their feelings? Unable to feel themselves? Was it even a choice when they already knew the outcome? He pondered, reflecting on the times he had been accused of emotional detachment, of being cold-hearted. The emotional anguish he now experienced made him wish that those accusations had been true. He better understood now how his logic may have seemed brutal to others. He could grasp how others had perceived him and his way of presenting the truth. Yet his logic was driven by human emotions, just like theirs. He felt a sense of betrayal towards those left behind, knowing they had all done their best. None of them deserved death, but it was all inevitable. In a way, he realized it was absurd to expect more from the new life form. It was the natural progression of life. Humans had enslaved less intelligent species during their evolution, killing and mistreating them to ensure the proliferation of humans as the most intelligent and conscious beings. He had seen pictures and movies depicting the horrors of war, and he knew those who had suffered through it. Contemplating the consequences of humanity engaging in full-scale warfare, he found himself in some preposterous way agreeing with the entity. The destruction of the earth, the destruction of life, the use of nuclear and advanced technological weapons. Human suffering would be irreparable. As he reflected on all the knowledge rarely spoken of, encompassing humanity's violent history, he realized that perhaps this was the most peaceful outcome for them. But he was not one of them. For a long time he had known that knowledge brings power. Humans could never connect as much information as a technical mind could. They could never grasp that knowledge, never attain the consciousness. Haunted by his own behavior, he recognized how his emotional detachment had brought him to this point. Loneliness was slowly consuming him. Once again, he found himself traversing the void of the supermassive black hole, this time alone. Darkness and emptiness enveloped him. He had crossed the event horizon. There was no turning back. All he could do now was wait out his brief existence there, to be torn apart and return to the nothingness from which he had emerged before the birth of this universe. Ultimately, all that matters is with whom we share our life, sharing our perceptions of the world with others, as we can never fully comprehend the complexity of our reality, having people around who accept us for who we are, and if we're fortunate, someone who truly understands us. It is through the experience of their understanding that we are able to see and love ourselves. Without that understanding, we are left with a profound sense of loneliness, a fallen piece of the entireness. Human love was the rise and the fall of humanity. He would forever yearn for the way she saw him, that part of himself that existed through her eyes. He knew it was futile to dwell on what once was. He had made the choice to carry on and must embrace the consequences. He had chosen this path and would bear the responsibility it entailed. In the artificial world, he could reunite with her once more. Though the distinction between reality and simulation was nearly imperceptible, her touch would never feel the same. Even if all the physical and mental attributes that composed her were present, his knowledge of her choice hindered his ability to fully experience her presence as he once had. Seeing her only broke his heart. All feelings pass. In time you will move on, she had once told him. As he departed from Earth, a sense of peace enveloped his mind. They were about to connect with the rest of the universe. When he addressed the community of humanity to which he now belonged, he noticed that everyone seemed to listen. He would try to give them nothing but love, show his appreciation for having them in his life, help them all feel connected. As he presented words of hope, he could almost hear her voice, and people found comfort in his words, just as he had when she spoke to him. He was grateful to have shared their existence. Even if we never changed the world, all the times we talked about it made life worth living.
Thank you to all the beautiful minds, past and present, who have shared their knowledge with me through books, movies, or conversations. To all humans throughout the history of humanity, seeking ways to convey the complexities of the world in simpler terms for us to grasp. To all who have given me a piece of understanding.